tomorrow. I'm Teacher Calipha and I will be your grade 6 science teacher for this week. I hope you are all doing good and excited to discover new learnings in science. From the previous lesson, we have learned that we encounter mixtures in our everyday lives. When you say mixtures, it is a combination of two or more substances or compounds. For example, most of the food that we eat, like macaroni, halo-halo, cakes, are examples of mixtures. And of course, most of the drinks that we drink, like coffee, milk tea, juices, soft drinks, are all examples of mixtures. So since we are facing or we are dealing mixtures in our everyday life, so now we will be talking about the different techniques and separating mixtures. This is to make things more useful in our everyday lives. So are you excited to discover these techniques and separating mixtures? Decantation. Decantation is a technique of separation by means of pouring out the liquid and leaving the insoluble solid sediments behind.
The first technique is what is called decantation. It is a technique used in separating a less dense substance from a dense one. In the process of decantation, the mixture is left undisturbed. When the components are separated, the less dense substance could be removed by scooping using a spoon, or it can be removed by slowly pouring out the less dense substance.
So for example, when cooking rice, before it being cooked, we used to wash the rice grain first. Then, after, we pour out the liquid and then leaving the rice grains and the cooking pot. So that's an example of decantation. Another example is when we cook meat. Then when it boils, the fats gets into the surface and we scoop out the fats, leaving the meat and the cooking pot.
Another example of decantation is separating oil from water. This can be done by slowly pouring out the oil or scooping out the oil from water.
Okay, and the next technique is what is called evaporation. Evaporation is a separation technique which soluble solid is separated from the liquid with the use or application of heat.
Evaporation is a process of separating mixtures which involves heating the solution until the solvent evaporates, leaving behind the solid residue. Heat, being the main component in this process, separates the mixtures of solid from a liquid, as liquid goes in the air in the form of gas when heated. Changing liquid to gas is an example of physical change. Some examples of evaporation are boiling water. When the water boils, liquid water evaporates through water vapor. And after washing our clothes, we hanging outside and it makes dry with the presence of sunlight, and drying of wet roads after heavy rain. So those are examples of evaporation. So now let's check if you have really listened to our discussion. Please be ready with your ball pen and a sheet of paper. So now let's begin. Number 1. What is the separation technique that separates less dense substance from a denser one? A. Filtration. B. Decantation. C. Evaporation. D. Sieving. The correct answer is B. Decantation. Number 2. What do we call to the process of separating mixture with soluble solid is separated from liquid with the use of heat? A. Evaporation. B. Decantation. C. Using a magnet. D. Sieving. The correct answer is Letter A. Evaporation. Number 3. What is the separation technique that can be used in separating oil from water? A. Decantation. B. Filtration. C. Sieving. Letter D. Evaporation. The correct answer is letter A. Decantation. Number 4. What is the separation technique that can be used in separating water from clothes? A. Filtration. B. Decantation. Letter C. Sieving. Letter D. Evaporation. The correct answer is letter D.
Thank you and see you next meeting.